Welcome, everyone, to today's analysis. We are looking at the Phoenix Rising League quarterfinals between Mad City and Striking Vipers. If you haven't watched Phoenix Rising, it's really great. If you're looking for some competitive League of Legends in the off season, or maybe you don't like watching pro play, Phoenix Rising League is some quality League of Legends. Really exciting games, a lot of fun. So tune in and watch them. We're going to jump right in and analyze the draft. The first thing to note here is that the teams, a lot of times in amateur scenes, you're going to see the teams use a program called ProDraft. ProDraft is an external website that you can go to that allows you to do a draft with all of the champions. So if you're a person that doesn't like to buy certain champions because maybe you don't want to have them in ARAM or something like this, and you're using your personal account, then you have access to picking and banning all of the champions, which is really good. What happens, though, is you do a pro draft, and then you go into the regular draft, and you just pick your champion. So we're not looking at the first three real picks here, right? Each person is just picking their champion. So top lane pick Kale, top lane pick Shen, jungle pick Kha'Zix, jungle pick Kayn. And you can tell that they've used pro draft because if they first picked Kale, then why would red team ban two top laners, right? If they have Kale and Orianna, their solo laners are clearly locked in. Why on earth would they ban two top laners in the second rotation? They wouldn't. That leads me to believe that they've used pro draft, and they're also, if when I push play, you'll see how quickly they're locking in, which is also, and they're locking in their champion. So they use pro draft. But we can sort of deduce what happened based on the bans, right? Because these are the first rotation bans. These are the first rotation bans for sure. So here, it looks like red team wanted to attack the jungler. You take away a couple of carry junglers and a meta jungler. And then the second rotation, they banned two aggressive AD top laners, which is interesting to me because the first point I want to make in draft is that blue team got Kale. But our bans here suggest that they didn't get it in the first rotation. They didn't pick Kale, first pick Kale. I think Kale is very, very strong in the meta. In the Season 11 preseason type meta, this champion is very strong with the item changes. So it's interesting that they got it likely so late. Yeah, it's really interesting they got it really late. So Kale, Shen, the bans over here. Blue side Samir ban means that they had some prio for first pick. It could have been Kale, but I'm not sure. Let's see what they actually got in the full draft. Let me continue. I wonder if they wanted Jhin or something. Yeah. I haven't watched this before, by the way. We just know right now that the meta is ADCs that don't use crit. When I say use crit, I mean they don't count on it to do most of their damage, right? So champions that just basic auto attack you over and over and over again are the ones that are going to want to build a lot of critical strike and the critical strike chance so that damage is tripled or doubled, really, when actually, but so crit items are not as good right now, which means that enemy or ADCs or marksmen that use their abilities to do damage, right? So these two ultimates are very powerful. They scale very well based on AD. Jin's fourth shot also scales very well with AD. So that's why right now these are sort of the two meta, and Samira as well for the same reason. Pushing R on champions is what Samira wants to do, not necessarily auto attack them a billion times, right? So this indicates to me that they're not comfortable playing Samira. It doesn't seem like they first picked Kale. Maybe I'm wrong. The Samira ban makes me think that maybe I'm wrong. But I can't go back. If you're wondering, like, why don't you just go back and look? The video started right here. So I can't go back and actually look at the pro draft. This is where we started. So whatever the case is, they're either not comfortable playing it or they wanted to first pick either Jin or Kale, is my indication. That's what I think happened. Let's see what the final pick is here, and then I'll pause it and keep analyzing. Okay. MF Senna, I've seen a lot of this recently. Maybe because starting support items are very good. Maybe the Senna support will work. I've also seen a lot of MF Seraphine. You chain together their ults, and it just does a ton of damage, right? The old MF Wombo combo, which I'm personally excited to see back in competitive play. Huge fan of the Wombo combo. But I will move on and try to be quick here. So let's see. Top lane, Shen into Kale. Shen can kill Kale really early. A lot of damage. The W for Shen is going to be pretty clutch in some situations, but it's not going to be lane winning. It's going to be good, but it's not going to be lane winning. Anytime there's a Kale in the game, the idea is to shut them down as early as possible. So Shen should be playing wave very smart, trying not to push Kale under turret too much unless they can stack waves and have a dive planned. Kayn is a jungler that can come from many angles and dive Kale 2 or 3 times before level 6. And once Kale gets level 6, that dive becomes a lot harder. Wave management becomes more important. But also, Shen can, if Shen pushes Kale under turret, Shen can R or TP to the bottom lane and help his team out, help their team out. The Shen ulti, I think I analyzed a game where I really liked when I play Shen, I like having options. I don't really think that your Shen is going to have a lot of options with this team comp. I think we should look for Shen to ult either Kayn to be aggressive when Kayn's going in, or somebody else if they're getting caught out, right? So if Kha'Zix jumps on MF, Shen might ult. Or if Kha'Zix jumps on, Senna or Syndra or something, right? Like, when Kha'Zix tries to target these 3 champions, I think that's when Shen's going to look to just use the shield on them. I think that is a good strategy. And wave management becomes even more important. The jungle matchup. I think Kayn has a faster clear, but I guess I'm not completely sure if these two just run into each other. I think that the isolation damage from Kha'Zix should be too much for Kayn. But I'm not sure, so we'll see. Maybe they'll run into each other and we can answer that question, right? Mid lane matchup, I mean, this is a matchup as old as time. Orianna in the current meta is just trying to farm for late. Syndra is going to have probably a bit more lane prio, easier time pushing, just spamming Q. And a little bit more agency on the map. So, if I'm correct, and this 1v1 is bad for Kayn, then you'll look for Syndra to shove the Orianna in, meet up with Kayn, and look for Kha'Zix to invade on the Kha'Zix. Bottom lane matchup, I think the Braum is a very good pick here, trying to negate the MF shenanigans. Not shenanigans, but her ult, right? You just push E and you can block a ton of the damage, particularly if you can get right on top of her. You just block a ton of the damage. But Senna will be able to poke early. I think this is a banger of a bot lane. I think we could see a decent amount of fighting. I think this team can be a little aggressive with their range. But if they misposition at all, I think Braum can punish. That is my inclination. Being a Season 8 Braum main, I guess. Maybe it wasn't Season 8, it was Season 6. I don't remember. But I played a lot of Braum. Great. So that's sort of the predictions, right? We're going to look for these two to invade the Kha'Zix when Syndra gets prio. We're going to look for these two to poke. And these two to punish the misposition of the bottom lane. And then we're going to look for Kayn to dive the Kale early. And then the Shen to use good wave management. I put this in the middle because it's not aggressive. use good wave management, and then try and either make aggressive plays with Kayn. And again, right, if they bump into each other and Shen is 6, then I think Kayn can win, right? So this is a very good team comp for Kayn. And then we'll look for Shen to ult and save the teammates there. Those are the predictions. So let's get into it and see what actually happens in the game. See in which cases we were right and in which cases we were wrong. Okay, here we go. We are now moving into the early game. Just make a note here. Cool. We're going to move into the other game. We're going to see what the teams decide to do. Again, we have some predictions about how the game might play out, but I didn't really make a prediction for who I think could win. I think that if Kayn can invade the KZ, shut him down, and kind of carry through the mid game, it'd be that mid game bridge, I think red team will win. If they don't shut down Kale whatsoever, and Kha'Zix gets to make play on the bottom side of the map while the Kale free farms, I think blue team has really good chances. I also think blue team scales really, really well. Okay, so blue looks for just a ward. It looks like they want to keep... Communication is probably keep Kayn from doing Raptors so quickly, right? And so I mentioned that Kayn will clear quicker, and it looks like maybe Kha'Zix is trying to do this early invade to keep the Kayn from getting that quicker clear, but Kayn realizes that and goes, I need to clear fast. That's what I do. I got to clear these. And we'll see what his path is going to be. Shen wins early, just like I said. So he's looking to cheese the Kale if they walk this aggressive path. There you go. Really good. That was kind of our first point by the Shen, right? They need to play aggressive. Pre-6 and make sure that the Kale can't just free farm. Now, if they really want to, Kayn can look for this, like just ignore the bottom side of the map for now and then look for a play top. I don't think they will. I think that's just too much tempo lost for the Kayn. All right, both top laners chugging away on some potions. Here we go, just like we said as well. Bottom lane, Senna MF can use their range advantage. They get level 2 first, look to be aggressive. Mid lane, just like I said, Syndra getting prio. In the early game, really good feat by Orianna there. Okay. Good wave management, not... Now imagine Kale is under turret here, right? This is much harder. So this is good wave management. It's thin, but it's pushing toward the Shen so they can try and be aggressive, and they get the summoner flash out, which means that now they can look to flash taunt next time it's up, and Kale knows that, so they have to back. And then Shen can even set up a freeze here, which would be really, really good for him. Freeze until 6 and then push. See if he does it. The Kale TP's back, so it kind of interrupts the freeze, right? And this is a good note to make. That teleport that Kale just did, if you're looking at this video and you want to learn a little bit more how to play top lane, this is the benefit of having teleport, is you get to come back into lane, you're refreshed, and the Shen couldn't set up a freeze. If Kale had heal or ignite or something like this, something that you would see a Kale in really low elo take, right, in like bronze or iron take, then they would have to walk all the way back up, and they would miss a ton of minions, they would miss a ton of experience, and they'd be even further behind. And Shen gets to set up that freeze to where now Kayn, after they back, Kayn backs, comes top, kills, because the Kale is flashless. So you don't have flash, you should TP back on the wave, shove it in, make sure the Shen can't freeze, and go from there. So really good play by Kale. But we expect this. These are plays that we expect from high elo players, which it seems like these folks are. Again, bottom lane being aggressive, using their range, and That's the second thing to note if you're sort of a low elo player going, I want to get a little bit better at this game. If you're watching my content, I assume you want to get better at this game. It's not the most entertaining stuff, to be honest with you. It's meant to be educational. Note that this duo here in the bottom lane for blue isn't just hiding under their turret constantly. They are taking a little bit of harass, but it's the Braum doing exactly what I said, waiting for a misposition. Waiting for them to make a mistake. Don't give it up for free. Make them work for it, right? You have to play your position well. You can't get caught under turret. You can't get caught by, a stun from Braum. These sorts of things. All right. The junglers did go topside. Not exactly sure what happened because I don't think it showed it. But blue has really good ward coverage, so I'd imagine that Kale can just walk away with these two wards. Kayn farming up. I'm interested to see which jungler makes a play first. Are we going to look Shen's 5? They could look for Shen 6, do Drake. I think that's a really good option. Because after Kale hits 6, which should happen about the same. Sorry for the awkward cut. Twitch. I'm watching this on Twitch because they don't upload their videos onto YouTube. And there's going to be ads. So I'm going to awkwardly cut them out because I am not getting paid by those companies to advertise for them. And you don't need to watch. You're watching this on YouTube, which means you already probably have ads. You don't need more of them. Anyway, I was wondering, what are the junglers going to do? What's the first play that's going to be made here? My idea was that Shen would hit 6 and they'd look to make a play for Drake. So Shen is 6, shoving in a huge wave, has a good timer to do Drake. Like Kayn is setting up for that Drake. The Syndra walks top, so it's not going to happen. I thought it was a good timer to make that play. Make a play in the bottom lane for red side. So Kale is happy about this. Kale hit 6 with 0 deaths. Good farm compared to the Shen. The Kayn didn't dive. I think that's a mistake. Okay, we blow flash in the middle lane. Okay, here we go. We get to see who wins. Yeah, see that damage? See how Kayn had to walk away? I think I was right. I think KZ wins that fair fight. Just 1v1. Oh, okay. Misstep by the Kale, taking 2 turret shots there. High elo. Not perfect, right? And that's okay. Here we go. Let's see who wins. Ah, see, there's the Shen ulti. The Kale ulti. Cool. So Shen gets first blood. Kayn gets orbs. But that happened pretty much like we talked about, right? Oh, wow. Yeah, that was rough. Don't forget, folks, like, what the Kayn forgot there is that the E of Kale does a ton of damage. Is it missing health or is it total health? I'm going to look it up real quick. We're going to find that out. We're going to answer that question. 2% per 100 AP of targets missing health. So if you think about how low the Kayn was there, 2% of that amount that he was missing got added to Kale's basic attack, and it reset it, so there were 2 attacks. It was clear, to me at least, that the Kayn was one shot there, but it wasn't clear to them. So remember that if you're ever walking into a Kale and you're low and you're thinking, oh yeah, we'll just get a taunt off or a CC. It also extends the range. I think that might have been the part that caught the Kayn off. All right, Shin has first blood. Kayle got a kill. That's not very good. See, that's the type of combo that they can use to punish a positional error, right? That's what I mean when I say, oh, it's a positional error, is that Braum can hit you with a Q, Jhin can stun you, and then they can both walk up and auto attack you and get a second stun from the Braum passive. And that you're just sitting there for a long time. So if you're out of position, you're going to be out of position for like 10 seconds. Another thing I've noted about the sort of bridge between the early and middle game with amateur teams is that it's not clear when to do the Drake for them. I don't know. It could be that teams throw at Drake in amateur because they don't play it perfectly and they don't always know when to back up. So it's just like, oh, we're just not going to do it. Or it could be that they just don't value the Drake as much. Because, okay, here we go again. Oof, nice combo. Very nice combo in the middle lane. And note, if you're an Orianna player, note that, you know, before like level 11 and, you know, 2 core items, your ultimate is really mostly just CC, right? Like, and using it on one person to pull them back like this is totally appropriate. Look, that's perfect. Didn't do the most damage, but it pulled them back. Okay. Right, so 10 minutes in, the first dragon is taken. Yeah, so I think I'm right when I'm you know, they could throw a dragon. They seem to only take the objective when they do get a clear cut, like kill advantage, right? So that's how that one worked. We're going to try to get a kill in the mid lane. If we get that kill, then we get to go get Drake. All right, this middle game is developing very slowly, which is good for blue. I think red needs to be pushing the envelope here. I think they need to. I think red should have looked to fight around the Drake with MF ult. So I think that it's not going to go their way until they need to win some team fights. Is what I'm saying. Red needs to win some team fights before Kayle can just wipe their team. Shen ulti is up. They can look to make a play. The next objective on the map is the Rift Herald. And amateur teams, again, don't seem to be as coordinated as some of the professional teams, which is just likely due to the fact that they don't play this game for a living, right? Some of them may, I'm not sure. But right now, I think that either the bottom lane total or just the support could be roaming to Rift. But instead, it looks like Kha'Zix is just going to get it for free. And I think there have been a couple of blunders playing around objectives for red side. I think that the jungler is focused on keeping this farming lead, making sure that they stay up. All right, let's see. Okay. Good flash. All right. Smart by blue side. Um, talk about this use of the Rift Herald. I think is a good lesson. So use of the Rift Herald. It's a very complex sort of argument to maximize the benefit of the Rift Herald. Um, and there are a lot of I could see it going a lot of different ways, a lot of arguments. Oh, Kane, you don't want. Oh, okay, that's rough. Um, a lot of arguments in many directions for like how we should use this. I personally think this is one of the best ones you could do. Dropping a rift topside is pretty free because enemy teams don't want to go up there to stop it. You know, they only have the one person. And I've been in the shoes of this Shen. I play top lane, and I've been in the shoes of this Shen where they, enemy jungler takes Rift Herald, comes up top, drops it, and just it starts walking down. And I'm against now he's against a ranged champion. He can't really do much, and killing the Rift is kind of hard. And they get a lot of damage on the second turret. Um, so the key things to note for taking the Rift Herald and using it, maximizing its potential, is the reason it can go top there is Kale is the scaling carry that they want the gold on, right? And that's the number one argument, and the easiest argument is, oh, it's where do we want the gold? Where do we want the gold to be is where we're going to drop the Rift. A higher level sort of thinking argument is usually they want to drop the Rift Herald mid because, I will pause and analyze for a second. If you take this turret right here, it opens up these pathways for your champions to flank, to gank, to get vision, to invade the jungle. You can now run out this way. You can now run in this way if you need to, right? So all of these paths are open. The map is far more open for you. And professional players value that way more than a few hundred gold. But here I think this is a great option. We're not a professional team that's going to maximize the use of knocking down the mid lane turret. We are a team that's very mechanically good and understands the power of Kale because we are good at League of Legends, right? Therefore, we're just going to put the gold here and get the Nashers plus, whatever that item is called. Now I can't remember. A scepter or something. Ooh, is that going to be a kill? Oh, no. Too much was going on there, I think, for the observers to grab. The benefit of pro play is they have multiple observers, so they can cut to different scenes. But it looks a little bit like the Kane got caught out. I think that's kind of what happened. And mid did a lot of damage. Okay, so I am interested to see their mid laner is doing the Korean Manamune build. I haven't analyzed it or seen why it's good, and I actually don't know what they go next, which makes me excited. I get to see like what the hype is about. Okay, right? There's sort of the misposition that I was talking about, right? Senna MF doesn't have a ton of tools to get away. They got an E slow from MF, but here they're just mispositioned. They're greeting for the turret. They get a slow, boom. They don't pop the Senna. Must be down. Right, the Senna ghost form or whatever it's called. Okay, Kale's gotten 2 turrets. Extra 2 kills, 2 turrets. That's a lot of gold. She's going to hit her item really quickly. Good try. I was just about to say red team hasn't used the MF ult, and I think that's sort of a blunder. But you see why they picked Braum into it. Blocked 2 full waves of bullet time going at the Jhin. Oh my goodness, look at that damage. The Manamune damage. I think the idea is that Orianna already gets a decent chunk of AD, or her auto attacks deal more on hit damage based on how much AP she has or something like that. So now your auto attacks are just going to deal. They're going to be like another spell. They just chunk. And we kind of saw that there, right? Boom, look at that chunk. And you just Q, slow, boom, look at that chunk. Yeah, red team needs a good team fight. Let's see if they can pull it off. Towers are down. Items are being completed. We are now moving into the middle game. So if we take a look at what we said our early game predictions were, right? Shen and Kayn will dive early to shut down Kayle. That didn't necessarily come true. But you can also see how Kayle got to free scale. Kayle now has 2 kills, has taken down 2 or maybe even 3 turrets and got the solo gold from that. Got a bunch of plates to boot, and that's a lot of gold onto the Kayle. Maybe at some point we'll see them switch over and we can actually analyze like how much the gold the Kayle has. So while Shen and Kayn didn't dive the Kayle early, maybe they should have, right? And I think we might see that coming to fruition because the Kayn didn't really get a whole lot accomplished. You know, they had that one good play topside where they got first blood, but didn't really get a lot accomplished other than that. So maybe he could have been spending most of his time topside. Shen will mostly ult to save people. We saw that with the Kayn. We haven't seen it in the bot lane yet. I think it was up when that play was happening, but they were so far out of position that I don't think it was worth for the Shen. Kayn cannot win 1v1 versus KZ. And Syndra will have Prio and help the Kayn invade. That one good play they made topside was sort of that. Syndra didn't really have Prio, but they did sort of make it work, right? MF Senna can be aggressive, but Braum can punish positional errors. We've seen both of those things happen. And so that's kind of what we thought was going to happen in the early game. Now let's take stock of what actually happened. So Kayle got to free farm. Kayle gets to free scale. Kayle got to free farm. Kha'Zix's got a bunch of free kills. Just better ganks than the Kayn. And Shen didn't really get to use their ult. So I think that the prediction now, moving into the middle game, is can the red team, they're behind, they're clearly behind. Can the red team use vision correctly around objectives, put themselves in a position to win a team fight using big ultimates, right? Syndra ultimate can be very, very crucial onto the Kayle, onto a target that's not Kayle ulted for sure. Same with Kayn. The MF ult and the Senna ulti are very, very crucial to winning the whole team fight. Yeah, and I think that's going to be what happens. I'm trying to think right now. I'm thinking, can Shen split against Kayle? And I don't think so. I think Kha'Zix, Orianna, or Kayle can easily match Shen, given the items they have. Welcome to the mid game. Towers are down. Now we're playing for objectives. We're playing for kills. We're playing for gold. Blue side needs to use side wave management to put pressure on the team to go catch waves on the side while objectives are up. Red side needs to play around vision and try and get a good team fight off. And you can see them posturing on the top side of their map. Right? Here we go. They're playing around vision. They're trying to get it. And there you go. Just like I said, blue side, shoving in the waves. Making sure that there's pressure to come get these waves. Okay. I believe the red team is about to lose this fight. And they made a blunder. That is my least favorite blunder that my competitive teams, my 5v5 Clash ESDL teams make. They spent all of their vision on the top side of the map around Baron, saw that the Drake was coming up, and then ran through their jungle down to the Drake and just stood there. But they didn't refresh their wards. So when you put vision out, you need to base immediately and just buy more wards, basically, particularly for support players, if you're a support player. And then if you look at what happened, right, our prediction was, or we said that they need to win a fight around vision. The Kazakhs walked up and comboed the MF for free. Absolutely free. Because there was no vision. So they get the Drake. And I'm not sure, see where the kills landed, but I'm not sure red team has the damage anymore to finish this one out. Here we go with blue team again. Getting pressure on the side. Pressuring the Shen to stay here and take this wave, while Orianna gets to walk around and do things for free because they can push. They have prio. Same thing in the bottom. Syndra has to catch this wave, right? So, okay, let's look at this. They're analyzing the Maramana build on stream because I think it caught them. I'm not listening to the casters, so I don't know. But I think it caught them off guard. I don't think they knew about this build. Now they're looking at it like, wait, what? So you do an additional... So right now, Orianna's getting an additional 104 physical damage on hit. Which is insane. So let's go... Let's go read Orianna's passive, and we'll understand this a little bit better. Innate Clockwork Winding. Orianna's basic attacks deal 10 to 50 based on level, plus 15% AP, bonus magic damage on hit. Grant a stack of Clockwork Winding. Holy cow. Yeah. So she's dealing 104 damage off the Maramana. And it looks like she's built a Ludens. See if they hover over the Ludens. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. I'd be interested in this build. And I want to see it in action. Okay, oh no, does she also just built Sarah? Oh no, that's the Saracen Brace over there, okay. Both teams enacting their mid-game plan again. Blue team pushing sideways. Red team trying to get vision. But I think that they just lose these side pushes so hard. As long as blue team is patient. And I think that's a good lesson to learn. And that when you're behind, you can't just walk into the team and try and fight. You have to have a reason to fight. And part of it is, or I think what good teams do, is they try to let the enemy make mistakes. Here we see the power of Kale, though. This is just nutty. Okay, now we're moving into the end game. We're going to analyze our middle game. Look at our predictions. Okay, so in the early game, Kale got the free scale, which meant that in the mid game, blue team can win some fights, so they need to shut her down. We asked the question, can red get a good team fight around Vision? And they did not. They died. My opinion is that this game is over. When I say a game is over, I mean that it is blue's game to lose. They have to make a mistake. And I was just talking about the other day with some friends about how when you get into a game like this and you're behind, you can't just force things. You can only force things if the conditions are right. And sometimes you get so far behind that you really need the enemy to make a mistake. And here is where I don't think there's going to be a lot of endgame analysis to do here. I think that a 10k gold lead is too much. Braum dies. But red can't capitalize. Oh, I wanted to see that Orianna auto attack. Oh, look at this. Boom. She's doing as much damage as Jin to this turret right now. We didn't really analyze anything in the endgame because there was no endgame. And I think that's going to be a theme in some of these videos. Sometimes you win the game in the mid game and it's just over. But looking at the report here, you can see the story of this game is Kayle. We said at the very beginning in draft that if Kayle gets to do whatever she wants, if she doesn't get dove over and over again in the top lane, she gets to scale for free, she'll win. She got to scale for free. Blue team did a very good job of funneling gold onto her with the Herald, like we talked about, with rotations. They put their bottom lane in the middle lane and then let Kayle take the turret bottom. Another gold in the pocket, the local gold from that. Got all the plates from the top lane, got the kills. So yeah. The takeaways are the takeaways from these videos are probably always going to be enact your plan. I think that that's what we're going to see a lot in amateur games, is that when you have your 5v5 team, if you're playing Clash or something like this, know the plan of what you drafted. Know what your team wants to do. This team wanted to pressure Kayle early, and after 6, make plays away from the Kayle. And the idea there is that I've played Kayle top, and there's a real feels bad man when you're trying to scale and you're just in the top lane farming and you're taking the turret, but the rest of your team is feeding. And now you've become Kayle, you've got 2 core, you can try and do some stuff, but the enemy team has, 20 kills and your team has 5. And you're just so far behind because they've gotten so much gold from kills. So they could have tried to put her at, behind early, gank, dive, and then use Shen ultimate to make plays in the bottom lane. Kayn didn't really make plays in the bottom lane. That's where I think they had their advantage. And I think Kayn could have made some plays in the bottom lane if they had sort of thought about this. If Kayle is not 6, we play topside. If Kayle is 6, we just play away from the Kayle. And we try and get enough gold generated through these fights that the Kayle is a non-issue, because Kayn or Syndra can one-shot her. But that is all for this video. I might make another video analyzing the next game. These teams are very good, very fun to watch, and I think that blue side won this game because they were playing new meta, and I think that Syndra Shen is old meta, and I think that we're going to see the red team adapt in the next game for sure. Thanks for watching.